Outer Frontier. Book 3. A Hope to a Peace. Chapter 6. Echoes of the Guardians. The city had no name. At least, none that the translators could reconstruct. 40,000 years of silence had eroded more than language. Entire concepts had disappeared, leaving behind fragments that no modern civilization fully understood. Yet one thing remained unmistakably clear. This had never been a military fortress. It had been a place where civilizations made decisions. Morning light spread across enormous plazas as the second landing team descended from the horizon. Commander Amelia Carter led the group. Behind her walked Selyra, Kale, Marcus, Lyra, and 2 security officers whose rifles felt strangely out of place among marble avenues lined with flowering trees. Nothing moved. The wind carried no sound except their footsteps. Marcus looked around. "I've seen abandoned stations before." He shook his head. "They always feel." He searched for the right word. "Dead." He glanced toward the endless gardens surrounding them. "This place doesn't." No one disagreed. The city felt. Waiting. The central complex dominated the skyline. Unlike the towers surrounding it, this structure had no decorative elements. No monuments. No statues. No symbols of power. It resembled a university more than a palace. Wide halls, open courtyards, circular meeting chambers. Everything suggested discussion rather than command. Kale examined the architecture. They governed through knowledge. Selyra nodded. "Not authority." Marcus smiled. "That's either inspiring or incredibly inefficient." The entrance doors slid open at their approach. Not because they had been activated, because they had never completely failed. Ancient mechanisms groaned softly before allowing them inside. Emergency lighting still glowed faintly beneath translucent floors. Lyra stopped walking. "Impossible." Marcus looked down. "The power source." She nodded. "Whatever they're using, it has remained operational for approximately 40,000 years. Marcus sighed. "And human operating systems still ask for updates every Tuesday." Even Kale laughed. Very quietly. The interior resembled an immense information center. Rows of crystalline pillars filled the chamber. Each one contained countless layers of preserved data. Most had long since degraded. Others remained partially functional. Selyra carefully placed the archival crystal, recovered from Archivum Primaris, into a circular pedestal. Nothing happened. Then, the floor vibrated. Soft blue light spread throughout the room. One pillar awakened. Then another. Then hundreds. The chamber slowly illuminated itself. A holographic projection rose above the center of the hall. The galaxy appeared, not as it existed today, as it had existed 40,000 years earlier. Thousands of stars glowed across the projection. Colored lines connected entire regions of space. Amelia immediately recognized the pattern. "The colonies." Kale nodded. "Yes." His expression slowly changed. "But look carefully." The colored lines were changing. Entire worlds faded from the map, one after another. Each disappearance triggered the activation of another colony farther toward the galactic rim. Not expansion. Replacement. The civilization had been retreating. Methodically, patiently, for centuries. Lyra enlarged one section. A series of symbols appeared beside several worlds. The translator worked for nearly a minute, Finally, the first sentence emerged. Population transfer authorized. Another system. Estimated arrival, 11 years. Another. Estimated arrival, 6 years. Another. Estimated arrival, 19 months. Another. Estimated arrival, 143 days. Marcus stared silently. They knew. Amelia folded her arms. They knew exactly when the enemy would arrive. No one understood how. Selyra activated another sequence. This time, the projection changed completely. The stars vanished. The room filled with anatomical diagrams. The entire crew instinctively stepped closer. Displayed before them was the enemy. Not as frightening monsters, as scientific subjects. Skeletons, muscular systems, neural structures, cellular organization. Thousands upon thousands of observations. Lyra whispered, they weren't just fighting them. Kale completed the sentence. They were studying them. Another inscription slowly translated itself. The language resisted interpretation. Some concepts possessed no modern equivalent. Finally, the AI assembled the closest possible meaning. To defeat an enemy. The sentence paused while additional linguistic correlations were processed. Understand its hunger. Another pause. Before you challenge its strength. Silence filled the chamber. No one wrote anything. No one moved. The sentence alone justified the expedition. Further records revealed something even more remarkable. The Guardians had established research stations ahead of every defensive line. Not military outposts. Observation facilities. They had spent generations simply watching, recording, learning, predicting. Marcus slowly exhaled. We've been trying to kill them. He looked toward the enormous anatomical projection. They were trying to understand them. Suddenly, the hologram changed by itself. No one had touched the controls. A single route illuminated across the ancient galaxy, beginning at the city where they now stood, continuing toward another colony. Farther, farther still, until reaching one final destination, beyond the edge of every surviving map. A symbol appeared there, different from all the others. Larger, older. Selyra stared at it. I think. She hesitated. This isn't another colony. Kale nodded slowly. No, it's where they made their final stand. At that exact moment, every communicator aboard the landing team activated simultaneously. Amelia answered first. Carter. The voice that replied belonged to Lieutenant Arlen on the horizon. It lacked its usual calm. Commander, you need to return immediately. What happened? Our unidentified contact. A brief pause. It moved. Minutes later, the shuttle reached orbit. The atmosphere aboard the horizon had changed. The bridge was silent. Every sensor display focused on a single region of deep space. Lieutenant Arlen enlarged the recording. There, for almost 2 seconds, a contact appeared. Still too distant for visual confirmation. Still impossible to classify. But no longer motionless. Marcus studied the telemetry. That's impossible. What is? It changed position. So, Marcus looked toward Amelia. It didn't travel there. It was never detected between the 2 points. Lyra quietly added, it's simply. She searched for a better expression. Appeared somewhere else. The bridge fell silent again. Then the tactical officer spoke. "Commander, there's more." He overlaid a second sensor recording. Another contact appeared. Then another. 3 faint signatures. Equally distant. Perfectly synchronized. None approached. None withdrew. They simply remained there. Watching. Marcus crossed his arms. "I don't think we've been followed." Amelia looked at the 3 distant echoes. "No." She spoke so quietly that only those nearest heard her. "I think we've been found." Without taking her eyes off the display, she issued a single order. "Leave orbit." The horizon rolled gracefully away from the silent world. For several long minutes, nothing happened. Then Lieutenant Arlen's console emitted a sharp warning tone. "They're moving." Every eye turned toward the tactical display. The 3 unknown contacts had altered course. Not toward the abandoned city. Not toward another system. Toward the horizon. For the first time since crossing beyond the frontier, the expedition understood one terrifying truth. They were no longer exploring the unknown. The unknown had begun exploring them.